Hey everyone, welcome to Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Now in this video, I'm going to discuss a new article featured in Bloody Disgusting that is written by Mike Holtz of the YouTube channel We Watched a Movie. Now in the article, he gives his personal top 5 scariest moments in the Scream franchise. And as I read it, I decided I would go ahead and share these with all of you, and at the same time, give you my personal top 5 scariest moments in the history of Scream. So, let's kick back and see if any of my moments made it onto Mike's list or vice versa. Let's go! So you can read the full article over on Bloody Disgusting with all of Mike's comments about his choices, but this is going to be more of a condensed version for the video. Now, let's dive in. Coming in at number 5, the article has Scream 5, DEWEY'S death scene. Now, this scene is certainly devastating, but it's not really scary because there's not a lot of major tension buildup in this scene, and Mike even acknowledges it by saying, quote, "I struggle to touch with this one simply because it's probably more suspenseful than purely scary," end quote. Now, for sure, there's no doubt that this scene, the sequence of Dewey being eliminated, will forever be one of the most discussed sequences in the franchise. And frankly, it's one that I will always fast forward through every time I watch Scream 5. From now on, I just skip through that scene. I don't want to see or be reminded of any of that. So that's how I deal with it. I fast forward it. Now, for me, the worst part, seriously though, about Dewey dying was that it wasn't even necessary. You did not have to kill Dewey to get Sidney back in Woodsboro. I've heard it said by many people that you had to do that. The only way Sidney would come back is if they eliminated Dewey. And to that mindset, I say, no, that's incorrect. You could have easily just attacked him and put him on ICU in critical condition, and Sidney would have been there for that. I believe that. And then, you would bring on the new team. But I guarantee you, Nev or Sidney would have shown up if Dewey had been in ICU and she'd gotten the call from GALE, for example, and said, hey, this has happened to Dewey. We don't know if he's going to make it. She would be there. That's all I'm saying. So, that aside, I do understand, though, why this would make the list, given the impact she's had, that the scene has had. I mean, not only on Scream 5, but the entire franchise. It's a huge, iconic, instantly iconic sequence, and one that I don't ever plan to watch much ever again because I just fast forward through it. But that's just me. All right. Now, coming in at number 5 on my list is the Sidney soundstage sequence in Scream 3. This is the one where she leaves and goes out of the restroom where Angelina was, and walks into the set of her old house, and then insanity ensues. And then there's this amazing chase scene up the stairs again, and then she's hearing voices. She goes down to what would have been the master bedroom, I guess, and we see the bloody bed, Maureen, allegedly her body there on the floor with a sheet over it, and all this is happening. And then but before that, she's hearing voices. And then when she gets over there, that's we see that amazing shot where the scene where the sheet just stands up. She looks over and it's standing up now, and it's talking in the mother's voice, and then she comes running after Sidney, whoever it is. So the entire soundstage sequence in Scream 3 with Sydney is one of my favorites, and I think that it absolutely is one of the best in the franchise for scary moments and high tension moments. All right, let's keep moving. Number 4, we have the article with Scream 4 Olivia's death scene. Now, Mike mentioned that this moment had all the great Scream-isms in one scene. From the Ghostface phone call to Kirby to the rope-a-dope move he pulls on her with the, I've never said I was in your closet line, ultimately ending in Ghostface proving he once again means business this time around. And I totally agree about how amazing this sequence is. Scream 4, as many of you know, is my favorite sequel in the franchise. And this sequence with Olivia was truly Wes Craven demonstrating that he was back as brutal as ever, bringing back like the brutality levels of Scream 1. It was fantastic. I never will forget seeing that in the theater. So total respect for this number 4. But mine is different. For me, my number 4 is the C.C. Cooper death scene from Scream 2. I mean, I believe that this is a masterclass in building suspense. And let's face it, Wes was the master of suspense for sure. Perfect slow burn sequence here. They don't eliminate CC too early or too fast. It's very good pace. It's a very good pace, and I love how it brings it along, and you think you're going to get a jump scare, and there's not. It just keeps going and going. It's just a very crafty scene, and I love how Wes constructed it, filmed it, and how Sarah Michelle Gellar ultimately executed it in her performance. It was absolutely fantastic, and of course leads us to the infamous balcony toss in Scream 2. So that is my number 4 choice. Now, coming in at number 3, the article has the opening sequence for Scream 2. Now, in choosing this at number 3, Mike says the opener to Scream 2 carried the meanness of its predecessor into the theater. The true genius and horror of this moment is that while Ghostface follows her and stabs her throughout the theater, not only does the crowd not help, but they unknowingly taunt her. Yes, and that's the end quote there. That's absolutely correct. It is genuinely messed up, guys, to not only be stabbed in front of tons of people like this, but those same people are literally clapping the entire time, cheering, and thinking about this not being real. It's part of the show, right? It's part of the theater, it's part of the show. And so how messed up is that? So I do not dislike this rating whatsoever. I do not hate on it at all. It's fantastic. And it definitely earns this spot on Mike's list for just being messed up. And I agree. However, I do have something different, guys. So for me, coming in at number 3 for my list is Scene 118 in Scream 1, otherwise known as the entire third act of the movie. Now, I know that's a very big umbrella or blanket I'm casting over it, but I'm going to tell you something. The reason I do that is because that entire third act is got some moments that are crazy tense, super suspenseful, and just to give you some specifics, like I came up with 3 really quickly. We've got the chase, of Sydney after Billy's fake out. After the fake out is done, there's some intense chasing going on upstairs in Stu Macher's house, leading to the attic and her eventually falling off into the back of the boat, inside of the boat. So lots of tension there, but that's one example. The other one is like whenever Sydney's in the police truck, and she's locking the doors, and all of a sudden, boom, they start opening up, because he's got the key. That's terrifying. That's horrifying, guys. And then another one I have to mention is the Billy and Stu entire scene in the kitchen. That whole sequence is just phenomenal. So, yeah, that's absolutely going to be my number 3. Again, everything in the third act is in play, but those are the specifics. Now, all right, let's keep moving. Coming in at number 2 for the article, Mike lists SCREAM1, real best friends stab each other. So again, this is kind of echoing very much what I just said. His thinking behind this ranking at number 2 is that if you can try to take yourself back to the first time you saw the movie and did not know what was going to come next, it was much more tense. The killers have just been revealed, and our lead character is moments earlier, unwittingly slept with one of them. Billy unleashes his inner psycho personality for the first time, and it's an angry, invasive one, end quote. So again, this lines up very much with what I just mentioned regarding my third ranking on the list, being that final scene of Scream, the whole sequence, scene 118. And I don't have much more to add to this other than just to say that seeing them turn the knife on each other is extremely unsettling. And I feel it every time I watch that scene. Even though I know what's going to happen, I still, to this day, something about it turns me. It just turns my stomach. It just makes me very unsettled when I see them stabbing each other willfully and gleefully even. Yeah, so it's an interesting observation, and I absolutely 100% agree. Now, coming in, though, at my number 2 in my list is the GALE chase scene from Scream 2 in the recording studio. This may actually be my most favorite sequence of suspense and tension of the entire franchise. Very, very possible. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying it could be, because it has it all. You have the slow burn, the tension, and then you have that moment where you're just, you got your fingers crossed, you're on the edge of your seat for Gale to not get killed in that studio, not get found by Ghostface. And then you have the whole Dewey component mixed in, and just adds to it. So that's my number 2, the recording studio sequence in Scream 2. And finally, guys, coming in at number 1 for both Mike and myself, we are unanimous on this one. It is the Scream 1 opening sequence with Casey Becker. And it comes at no surprise at all. Now, when discussing this sequence, Mike mentioned that it is possibly the greatest opening scene in a horror movie of all time, and one of the best overall horror scenes ever. The reason it was scary, though, at the time we were all so accustomed to Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger at this point, and that the thought of a real-life killer felt ultra-realistic. It was scarier because it could really happen, and because in that generation, our parents left us home alone all the time. It was awesome, it says. That's great. And I completely agree. I mean, after seeing this scene with Casey Becker, the whole opening of Scream 1, I've seen it hundreds of times now, literally in the hundreds over the last 25 years. And it still impacts me and hits as hard as it ever has over all these years. It's amazing. And now, those guys are going to be where we're going to leave it here. And the thing about this list is a lot of these things, of course, again, all of these things are subjective. They're just our perspectives, our opinions. And so everyone can have different opinions that may match this, may completely be different lists. And so I would love to hear what everyone's lists are and rankings are for your favorite scariest moments in the franchise history. And remember, with Scream 6 approaching in just 2 months, I can't wait to see what scenes will be in store for that could possibly make the next version of this list. That's very possible. But in the meantime, guys, I want to know, what do you think about all of these top scary moments in Scream history? Please share your rankings, your thoughts, ideas, and any theories that you would like to share, and leave them in the comments below now so we can begin discussing them together. Well, guys, that's all for this update, but I'll be back soon with more Scream and other horror movie content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Thanks for watching.